Are you feeling like you have a dream, but you feel like maybe you missed your shot and you're maybe too old to pursue that dream now? Well, then this video is for you. My name is Josh Sahanta. I'm a full-time 31-year-old musician who just made the massive leap to move from Canada to Nashville, Tennessee to pursue my career in music. I also have a wife and a 1-year-old child that I dragged here with me, and we are just figuring it out. Now, this move is definitely something that would have been a lot easier in some ways to do when I was in my 20s and before I was married, before I was a parent. I think it would have been a lot easier to jump into that with open arms at that point in my life. So why did I choose now? Well, I've spent since about 2020 working with pretty limited resources to build a music career that I've actually been able to do to a pretty big extent, and then kind of just hit a bit of a roadblock where I felt like I needed to move and relocate to a place that had better opportunities if I wanted to keep doing it full time. But I had laid the groundwork before moving here so that moving here would be a lot more efficient and effective, and that's exactly what it has been. And don't get me wrong, it comes with a lot of challenge having to take care of a child, having to take care of a partner, plus now, put in everything else into pursuing this career, or even it might not even be a career, it could just be a hobby that you're passionate about, but you're spread a little bit thin at this point in your life because you have a lot more responsibility than you may have had a decade ago. Now, I also felt a lot of fear making this choice to move to Nashville because there was a lot of resistance from friends and family who didn't really understand why it was necessary, but then also mostly from my own inner critic. I think that was the hardest one to get through because I was constantly feeling like I would not make anything happen here and that it would just be a failed and expensive decision to try. And it has been expensive, don't get me wrong, but it's been far from a failure, and it's 2 months in, and it's been probably the most momentum-filled period of my entire career. I wouldn't have been able to experience that had I not moved here. So there is definitely a myth when it comes to things being too late. It's never too late. If you are still alive and breathing and healthy and you have your faculties straight and you can do the thing that you want to reasonably do, it's not too late. There's constantly stories of people who are accomplishing goals that you would never think that at their age that they would be able to do that. I think there was a guy who was like 90 years old who just ran a marathon and completed it or something. I swear I heard that recently. But there are so many things you can still do at any point in your life, and you don't need to let your age be something that causes you any kind of insecurity about pursuing that thing. Now, are certain things harder to pursue later in your life? Of course. There is a huge benefit to pursuing things when you're younger because you have a larger window to fail and to try something new. But as you get older, the stakes get a little bit higher. And this is more when it comes to actual career changes. But when it's hobbies, I mean, there's really nothing to lose when it comes to hobbies. You can kind of just try things until you find one that you like. So one of the first pieces of advice that I would have is to stop waiting. Start now. If you just keep sitting there and thinking, okay, maybe when my kids are in school, or maybe when my kid sleeps through the night, or I have a bit more money and a bit more financial security, then I'll start that YouTube channel, or then I'll start my passion of photography. I don't think there's ever a better time than right now. As long as you have the tools that you need to be able to start the thing, I think you should just start. For example, I've had this YouTube channel for over a decade and I haven't really done anything with it. I've just used it as a place to post my music videos and things like that. But I just recently felt like I wanted to start making videos more consistently, and I've just started. I didn't wait till I had the right equipment to do it. I just was like, you know what? This is something I want to start. I have some ideas. Let's just do it. And here we are. I'm hardly getting any views, but I don't really care because this is an experiment for myself and also just a challenge to pick something, to choose to do it, and to stay consistent doing it. So start now. If there's something that you're wanting to do, just get at it. Don't let your age be a factor. Don't let time get away from you. Just go do it now. Secondly, focus on consistency over speed. Consistency is something that people lack the skill set of in 2025. I feel like we have such squirrel syndrome where we just get distracted by every little thing that comes up that we never just actually complete things. And so I think just start doing it and then try to just figure out a schedule that you can stick to. Don't set the expectation on yourself to become an expert at whatever it is that you're pursuing overnight. Spend time slowly. Don't feel like you're in a race, because if you rush whatever it is that you're trying to learn, you're not going to become as good at it as if you were just to like really soak in it and spend the time developing the skill. Thirdly, this is a huge one, especially for me. You have to surround yourself with the right people. There's a lot of people who are just negative and they hate to see other people doing well, and that no matter what you're doing, they will find a way to bring it down. And you just can't be around those people, and you can't let them speak into your life, because people like that are, quite frankly, just miserable, and they're probably not feeling like they're doing anything with their lives. And so when they see someone in their circle trying to better themselves or pursue something that they want to pursue, these people kind of almost take it as a threat, or they see it as a thing that makes them feel self-conscious. And so it's easier for them to downplay the thing that you're trying to pursue than it would be for them to be excited for you and maybe try to change something about their life. Just try to not let these people speak into your lives. And sometimes those people are closer than you'd like them to be. Sometimes they're family members and, people you grew up with. You can still prevent those people from speaking into your life, and there's still a way to like do what you're trying to do without letting those people's opinions of you completely derail your progress. The last piece of advice that I would have for right now is set yourself goals that you can achieve, that are reasonable for you to achieve, and work at knocking those goals off one by one. When we look at what other people are doing as our metric of our own success, we will never feel like we are ever getting anywhere. So it's far better to compare yourself to who you were yesterday than to where somebody else was a year ago. Focus on the small little wins, build that over time, and see where that gets you. You'd actually be surprised at how many skills you have in your 30s and older that you didn't have in your 20s, simply by living your life longer and being subjected to more responsibility. And there's just so many skills that I have now that I didn't have 5 years ago or 10 years ago that have helped me to really streamline my business and really know exactly what it is that I'm wanting to do, and also how to do it. And I wouldn't have had these ideas a few years ago. So there's actually a lot of benefits on pursuing something now than it was when you were younger and you had so many other things fighting for your attention. And I also kind of want to just end by saying that if what you are pursuing is a hobby, please don't feel stressed about it. Hobbies are supposed to be fun. If you're trying to learn an instrument, if you're trying to learn photography or cooking or any of these things, have fun with it. Enjoy the process. You have nothing to lose. That being said, if what you're pursuing is for a career, please just make sure that it is something that you're actually good at, or that you actually have the ability to get good at. Because if I were to say now in my 30s, decide that I want to be a professional soccer player, that is just not going to happen. I could practice every single day for 7 hours a day, and that will not help me become a professional soccer player, because that is unfortunately something that I should have been doing since I was a little kid. So you have to be a little bit reasonable when it comes to the thing that you're trying to pursue and the level that you can now take it to, because unfortunately there are certain things that your age does matter for, and when it comes to athletics especially, that's definitely a thing. So just make sure that you have a skill set that relates to the thing you're trying to pursue, is all I'm trying to say. Especially at this point in your life, you don't really have the luxury of reversing time and learning certain skills to the point where you could get hired for those skills. There are a lot of things you can. For example, you can become really good at photography rather quickly. There's a few skills you need to master, but like, you can by all means pick up a camera, get an editing software, take a few classes, maybe go to school, maybe watch YouTube videos, whatever it is, and you can become a pretty competent photographer rather quickly. You can learn guitar, you can learn music production. These are things that you can learn, but it does definitely help to have a natural aptitude towards those things. If you've never touched a music instrument in your life and you're wanting to tour with Keith Urban, it's probably not going to happen, unfortunately. So all this to say, please pursue your passions. Please pursue the things that you are wanting to pursue, especially if they're hobbies, But if they're for work, just be smart about it. You do unfortunately have the disadvantage of not having your youthful flexibility anymore. We're not in high school anymore where we have unlimited free time and nothing to do after school. We don't have those luxuries anymore. And maybe you do, and if you do, use those to your advantage. But just be smart about the thing that you're trying to pursue, especially if it's for a career. You don't want to just out of left field pick something that you have no experience with, because you're going to have to work really hard, and maybe even to the point where it's impossible to get to the point that you might want to get to. And that is the unfortunate reality of aging and changing careers. But there actually is a surprising amount of things that you still can make do with. And so don't let that discourage you, but just be smart about it, please. Thank you again for watching this video. Please hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to stay consistent. This is my goal for the year, is to stay consistent on making these videos, whether or not I really get views. I'm just trying to do this as a challenge for myself. And sometimes it's really hard, but I'd really appreciate your comments. Any other topics you want me to talk about, please let me know. But hit that subscribe button. Please check out my music, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much.